What's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today, we're covering Chasing Atlanta. This is Season 7, Episode 4, and what an episode. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe if you're new, and you can leave your comments below. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Okay, y'all, so all I can say is this episode was lit. Like, I won't say that the season just started. I just think now we're ready to eat. The food has been prepared. It's been on simmer and all that good stuff. But look, now the crock pot said, I'm done. Pour me out and let's eat, basically. All right. So we begin where we left off in the last episode, where Q has surprised everyone for showing up to Dominique's birthday party. Some people were like, hey, where you at? Where you been at? Some people were just happy to see him, but a lot of people are confused. Anyways, Dominique is looking a certain type of way, because it's like, you coming to my party and where you been? I've been reaching out to you, he has a little off conversation, Dominique does, with Noelle and a couple more people, and of course they were surprised that Q showed up. He does want to know, where has he been all this time? Noelle was like, let's just back off for a little bit, and we'll get to the bottom of that. Anyways, Q brought a present, but he did not put on a wig. And of course, that's just a no-no. We're going to get into why he didn't even have a wig on. But anyways, Dominique turns the party, just to get it into a more lighter vibe, into a drag show for a drag queen, Skylar Star. And Skylar does her, or his, big one. Everyone's tipping and all that good stuff, and it was a good time. Dominique's attitude did change at that point, or mood. I'll say that much. I won't say attitude, but at least mood changed, and it just brightened things up. Q just jumps in, and he just quite vibrant and just ready to have a good time. At this point, everyone's sitting downstairs, and many of them are grilling Q to go on and say what needs to be said about where he has been. I think the only one that was really like, let's just leave it alone for now, because Q was like, yeah, I will tell you, but just tonight is not the night. Because Dominique was like, well, I'm opening the floor for you to do it, so go on and say what to do. Carl was like, well, just go on and tell it. And Q was like, no, we're good. We can tell it another time. I do love that in a room, Q is one of those people that will back you up off of them. They were quite diligent on making him want to tell what was up, and you can tell that there's also people that know what happened, but they want him to say it. It's obvious. Carl was one of them that at least heard what was going on with him, but anyways, other people knew too. But it wasn't the time nor the place, as Q did express fervently with these jokers. But anyways, they finally backed off. Kendall was the one that was just really more like speaking up for Q. He will tell you in his time. Let it just be. We move from there. Q did invite everyone to his game night, and he said, then you'll be able to hear a little bit more about what's going on with me. Next we get, I think Tony said that she would not be able to come to game night. Anyways, we see that Tony, she's in New York. She's at the latex ball, and it's one of her first balls that she went to. Even before she transitioned, she did say that she was androgynous and all of that, but she had not really become who Tony Bryce is now. To come back and she's getting awarded from a place that she's really looked up to and honored. She was honoring another trans person that's a part of the ball scene. I don't remember their names. Beautiful girls. And what I see out of Tony is that she's very humble. And she knows who she is, and at the same time, she don't have to over-exaggerate who she is. She is who she is. She's a girl's girl, and I think that she's willing to support anyone, and that is rare. It's rare, or you got to put on a certain coat in order for people to know, don't mess with me. There's just people that could just put on this extra stank that's just like, we get it, all that. But she's just who she is, and I just think that she's just a girl that I would love to be around. Very down to earth and willing to help anyone. She works hard for people, and I'm just reading her. This is my 4th episode. I knew nothing about her until now, until the season of watching the show, and I'm seeing how she is continuously representing herself, and she's doing a fantastic job, and I'm loving it. We move on to, I believe it's Ken. Oh no, Q. Q has his friends come over, 2 girls, and they're catching up, and now he's ready to tell them, his more closer friends, as to what's going on, or what was going on. He was arrested. He was on his way to go on a trip to Belize. He was in line to get on his flight, but he was stopped, and they pulled him over to the side and said that he had a failure notice to appear. It's kind of one of those things of, he's been going through a court case for, he said, 16 to 17 months, and he didn't even realize that he didn't appear for something, a court matter or whatever, a court sanction thing, and they ended up getting him and putting him in jail. He said that for 4 days he was in a holding cell, and he said that he just stood up, or he stood for those 4 days until he was about to pass out. I guess when he was able to see a doctor, he said that his feet, ankles were totally swollen. Probably because of, not as far as what was going on medically, I think the reason he stood up is because he couldn't believe that he was there, especially at this time. And probably thinking about everything that he has going on in his life, and now this has happened to him. Anyways, I guess in Atlanta, they have different parts of the jail. If you're straight, as far as a male, you can be over here, and then there's another section for the gays. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I've never known that to happen. I thought you had to be in the mix of everyone as far as with jail. So he did choose to be amongst the gays. But what happened was, while he was in there, he got assaulted. That broke my heart. That broke my heart. So he's dealing with all that. He finally gets out of jail, but he had to really keep going, and he went right back into his job and needed to make everything work for him. What I will say is this, is that I've been drawn to Q since the first episode. I did feel like he was a fish out of water with this group, because it seemed like even in his first event, everyone was like, but all I know is from what I'm seeing from Q is that he can hold his own. I see a fighter in him. I see the tenacity in him. I see the resilience in him. And I absolutely love it. I love this guy, and I don't even know him. I knew that there was something I was drawn to, but I didn't know what it all was. I'm like, well, why am I so drawn to him? All of a sudden, I don't even know him like that. Excuse me. So I do think that it's remarkable that you did go on about life, but you did reveal on camera that you were assaulted. He did not even tell his friends. His friends was worried, like, should this even be on camera? And they asked whoever was filming or the producer, did you know anything about it? And he said no. He just let it all out. So right at that moment, he had to start processing that he was assaulted. That's a lot, y'all. That is a lot. Again, I think I do admire you to be able to persevere. I do pray that you are doing what you need to be done to even process this. Counseling or whatever that you need. But I pray for your strength. I pray for your mind. I pray for your peace. And all of that for you, Q. And all I do is want the best for you. All right, so we move on to Carl and Tramel. They are at the gym. Tramel is more of the one that likes to work out. Carl wants to do a little 1-2, and that's it. Anyways, they get talking a little bit about Dominique's party. Of course, him being the +1 in this whole situation. Carl just talks about certain situations, even with kind of feeling the fever with Ken, because Ken at the birthday party was giving a lot of looks, and we heard in his confessional that basically he don't like Carl. I hope that Ken does not like Carl on his own strength and isn't just disliking him because of his connection to Dominique. Did he talk about that? Did Carl talk about creepy Carl? I think he did at the birthday party. Carl talked about, or was it at the game night? Was it there? It may have been. It may have been at the pajama party. Anyways, he's going to confront Dominique about the him calling Carl creepy Carl. Excuse me. So they're talking about different things that are going on, even about the whole Q situation. It's like, oh, you was really pushing it with him. And he was like, well, I just think that, okay, go on and say it. He thinks that Q is in jail. And that was his issue. Especially coming from someone who has been to jail many times. That's what it's looking like. I'm cool. He's not that type of person that's kind of like bougie up in the air about the whole situation. It's like, look, I'm there, but I know what it's like. So what not? Just say what it is. And Tramel was like, oh, so you think he was in jail? What do you think for? Well, if he's been in there for like a month and a half and all of that, then he's got to be scamming or stealing or something like that. Excuse me. They talk a little bit about how people don't really, within this group thus far, don't really want to deal with issues. They kind of skate around it and don't really want to confront things. Of course, Carl is not that. That's not his nature. He talks about Sammy. You know, I was the one that confronted Q, and Q did not really like Carl's pressing because he didn't even know Carl like that. And then you're up here trying to press issues. Yes, you're in the group and all that. Congratulations, happy birthday. But who are you? And why do you think that you should have a right to try to push me on anything? What is your last name, basically? But Carl said while he was at the birthday party, he was hearing different ones were like, oh, well, we need to talk to him about this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Specifically with Sammy, Sammy was like, I'm going to really check him. That was the type of energy that he was given in regards to all that. And he wasn't given that same energy. He was just on mute. And all of that. So that was a little bit bothersome to Carl because, hey, let's get it out. Did Tramel say anything else? Not really. We move over to another scene with Kendall and Q. They were meeting up. This is their first outing together, and Q really appreciates Kendall for sticking up for him and wasn't really trying to go in hard on him, trying to figure out what was going on. And he appreciates that. Ken sees the sincerity in Q, and we're seeing that really Q is a vibe, and he's somewhat of a life of the party, you know? And they're just really liking each other. And of course they get into like, what do you think about this person and that person? He is a little bit skeptical of Tramel. He had heard a couple things. I don't think that he really got into it, if I remember correctly. Let's see. He likes Nova. All that good stuff. You know, everyone's kind of just, you know, he thinks just for the most part that he likes everyone. He just has heard some things about Tramel. When is that going to come up? I don't know. It didn't come up at game night. The next scene is with Nova. Nova is making dinner because there's somebody that's supposed to come over. But I was confused there as far as the storytelling with Nova. Nova did make some food. Looked like she fried some pork chops. Looks like rice. I thought it was ramen noodles, but whatever. She had a biscuit. Those look like pot pie biscuits. Did she have a vegetable on there? Now I'm acting like my mom. But hopefully you had a vegetable, and you should have something green on there, lady. But let's see. She calls her ex, who's supposed to come to Atlanta to visit her. He lives in Florida. Now, she left Florida for several reasons. One of the reasons that she left Florida is because her boyfriend doesn't really accept her, or her ex-boyfriend doesn't accept her being trans. He is a gay man, and he wants gay men, and not an actual woman or anyone that wants to be trans. Anyways, she FaceTimed him. Dude says that he can't come as previously planned. He said something came up last minute. Nova's like, well, this has been happening several times. What's going on? And you're not really here. So she's upset about that whole situation. And she ends up hanging up the phone on him. So she feels like she's getting played, and you are. But don't you like that though? I'm sorry, from what you confessed in episode 2, you act like you love being a trash dumpster, whatever you want to call it, for these men. You want these men to treat you like trash. That's where I'm confused at. Anyway, she ends up FaceTiming Dominique and Tony. They are around in the neighborhood, and she asked them to come by. I guess the food is actually for Dominique and Tony, even though I thought it was about her man coming, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm looking at the food right now. She got the rice, she got the meat, and the biscuit. So no vegetable whatsoever. Come on, Nova. Let's have a nutritious meal. In regards to all that, you gave a lot of starch. But anyway, I'm just being a little bit, I'm shady right there, but it's nothing bad at the moment. But we're gonna get to you. So Nova ends up saying what's going on about her ex, but we're also finding out that she has a current boyfriend who's in jail. Okay, like I don't even understand. What are you getting mad at? If you just really wanted this man to come in because it looks like you wanted to hunch, that's what it seems like, and you're cheating on your jailbird man that you're waiting for to get out, that you got to know that he's not being celibate while in jail. I do want better for you, but I don't know if you want better for yourself, Nova, and this is a lot. This is a lot. Anyways, both of them are compassionate towards Nova, and Tony's in a confessional, like, I commend her for wanting to try to work things out with the dude, but we already know that Tony's not going to be with anyone that's not going to accept her for who she is. Yeah, I want better for you, but you like this stuff, and I think that you're going to have to really get hurt a lot more times before you actually want to wake up out of this stuff, and you deserve more, Nova. We move on to game night. I've been nice, one, because I don't know these folks at all. I didn't know anything about them. I still don't know them personally, but now getting to know them more on the show, I haven't been wanting to shade or read or anything to that nature, because look, I got to get to know y'all a little bit more to see what's up. Noelle, I'm looking at your pajamas, and I'm gonna keep it right there, because I think I'm gonna have to just table it and pick it back up a little bit more, because since episode 1, you've been in a lot of shake and go type of attire, especially with that wig. Nova's a pretty girl, and she makes sure that she is looking great, and she lives on the south side. If she can do it, how come you can't do it? You're talking about people's fashions. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to pick it up, because I think you are about to do some stuff where I'm just gonna have to start saying what I want to say and shading you. Sorry, I'm just like, I did say this. No, I'm gonna wait, because I'm gonna wait and see what you do. If you do what I think you're gonna do, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah. So the pajama party, things get really lit really fast. They want to ask all of these questions that are kind of like truth or dare, and did you do this, da 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 da, and we finally get to the question of, have you been arrested before, and you got to take a drink. Carl and I think a couple other people, but Q did. At that point, Q let it be known that he was arrested, and that was what was going on. He even explained to Dominique as to why he didn't have the wig is because he had just gotten out of jail. Dominique at that point had compassion and gave him a hug. Carl did ask, okay, so was you stealing, scamming? I think he did. And he said, no, that's not what it was. He said, he explained as to, he didn't even know that anything was wrong as to even having to be put in jail. He's had a long court case, but there was a failure to appear. Da, 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 da. They left it at that. Maybe more was said. It just didn't make it onto film, even though we know the backstory and he said what needed to be said. And I think at this point, people were understanding that he didn't want to say anything. Dominique was impressed that he was resilient, and he did pick himself up and went right to work as soon as he got out of jail. It's commendable. The questions start getting crazier. But there was a moment between Noelle and Tramel. There was some type of group thread. Oh! At the birthday party, Dominique asked Althea to sing Happy Birthday. Not a lot of people liked it. Noelle, in his confessional, was like, acting like it was a Candy rendition. Every man wants a woman. Like, okay, y'all. Whatever. Because it was all cut up and choppy, it was a different rendition, just like y'all are now trying to drag Brandy for the national anthem. Leave her alone. That's all I gotta say. I heard some vote, so I like the beat. I'll just say that much, because it was kind of choppy, and I didn't really get to hear it in full motion, even though some people weren't liking it. Anyways, I guess that there was some type of group chat with Tramel and Noelle, and it got to the point of some insults being hurled, and somehow it got onto Noelle being called Candy, and Tramel said, "Look, I would never call you Candy. She's successful." I said, Lord, I didn't really get what was going on there, whatnot, but obviously there's going to be trouble in the hood in regards to this whole situation. Noelle has already been talking about people's age. Noelle, I think, is the youngest. That's still under 30. Yeah, he said something trying to drag him for being 50 or whatnot. I think they're in their like mid 30s to going on to their 40s or whatnot. Whatever. 30s is still young, and I don't even understand. All I gotta say is that we gotta be grateful for every year and every moment and every day that we get on this earth. Sorry. Anyways, Noelle's like, I don't really know what I said. Da 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 da. Pull up your messages. No, you pull up your messages. So it's one of those things where Noelle doesn't really want to be accountable for whatever was going on there. But you're stuck on the whole Candy situation. Tramel, from what I've seen thus far, Tramel is just not going to be shady for no reason. Then there was a question asking, who do you think doesn't take showers? The question was for Nova to answer. Nova said, no shade, all shade. I think it's Althea. And then went on to say, well, what did she say? She ended up was saying that, well, I heard from a birdie that your man was gay for pay, and it looks like you need some more Vagisil. What? I'm gonna make sure I have everything. Who looks like they need to take a shower? I just want to make sure I say it right. I feel like everybody looks, whatever. Everybody I'm looking at the transcript. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, I'm going to have to say no shade, but Althea. She says, not because I think she's a smelly, dirty itch, but just because, I heard a little rumor. I heard your baby daddy is gay for pay. How does that correlate with one another, Nova? I thought maybe that you should just use a little bit more Vagisil when you take a shot. What in the world? So you're trying to say that she's dirty and that her man don't want her because he's gay for pay? That didn't make no sense. Althea was over there minding her business, and you just took a shot in that way, and all hell broke loose. And we saw a new Althea emerge. And basically was like, who are you talking to, itch? Things got heated. It looked like Nova wanted to swing at Althea. I don't know if Althea swung at her. All I know is that Althea got in her face, and maybe that was it that set things off. But whatever, things went crazy. Nova, I'm gonna say this much. I don't know what the issue is. You said that you would never want to be friends with Althea because of how she talked about her baby daddy. She's the one that told you anything about this gay for pay. And she said that I didn't even tell you in that way. However, you're sitting up here now trying to say that I said that my baby daddy's gay for pay. It sounds like you are a male worshiper and male identifier, even though your man don't even want you because now you want to be a woman, a trans woman. I think that that's messed up, ma'am. And I just want to know, do you have some type of relations with this baby daddy? Even if he is gay for pay, and if Althea told you that he was gay for pay, why does it matter to you, and why are you so offended by that? Because you act like you're sleeping with him. That's the thing that's weird to me. Like, I mean, the only thing I can think of, are you mad that possibly Althea outed this man? But you know nothing about the relationship, and you don't even know where she would come to this grievance at with her baby daddy for you to now have all of this rah-rah towards her. So I don't know where that came from, but it was quite dirty and low. It gave us the drama that we needed, but no. Some people said in the comments that you're jealous. I don't know if you're jealous of Althea, but that is quite crazy. You went from someone who don't take showers, or you feel they don't take showers, to start talking about her baby daddy being gay for pay, and somehow correlate that, and somehow you don't trust her, you don't like her, That don't make no sense, ma'am, whatsoever. So at this point, I don't have that much more mercy for you. and you're going to get what you get from me, because nothing made it you have to say that towards that woman. That has said nothing about you. So that's all I got. Yeah, this episode was chase worthy, y'all. So keep it up. Carl did confront Sammy about what was up. Sammy was like, no, you got it totally wrong. Yeah, we did confront each other, me and Q. And I did say, you know, where's your wig? Da, 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 da. He said it in a more loving way than what Carl is saying how Sammy was talking during the birthday party. I'm apt to believe Carl. Now, I'm pro Sammy. I am pro Sammy. However, I think that you may have had a little bit more juice for him, at least behind his back, because even in your confessional, you was like, well, should I really say something? Should I not say nothing? Da, 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 da. That's been your type of MO. So I'm like, I wonder what's up. So anyways, that's all I got, y'all. Fantastic episode. I'm ready to see what pops off in the next one. Be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, and until the next one, peace.